Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, well, it looks like the Salt Lake Temple renovation project won't be complete until 2026, which is crazy because first it was 2024, and then there was kind of like, from my point of view, there was a little bit of going back and forth between 2024 and 2025, and then I settled on 2025 because Elder Bednar used that date, and then I can't remember who else. There was another apostle that also mentioned 2025, but KSL. Um, just like a couple months ago, I did a video where they were saying 2024, but I decided to go with the general authorities. And now there's a new article out from the church newsroom saying that it's 2026. So there's a couple things I want to talk about in regards to that. Um, One thing that I hadn't actually considered and the implications of what's going on. So before we do, this is the update on the Book of Mormon challenge. I updated it since the last video. So we're currently at 4,814 uh, copies of the Book of Mormon that have been shared. And we're at a total of, excuse me, we're at a total of 436. I need to change that to, I forgot, participants. Participants. Okay. So this is really good. For any new reporting for this, make sure to put hashtag flood or just the word flood so I can easily find your comment in the comment section. So use hashtag flood. Remember, and that's in reference to flood the earth. Remember, you can just easily do this just by pushing a button. That's as literally as easy as it is in order to share the Book of Mormon nowadays in the year 2023. Go on your phone, which is now basically a supercomputer, and open up your app that has all the scriptures, and then click on this right here. And then text it or email it or direct message through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Okay. And then let me know. It helps encourage other people to join in and maybe share the Book of Mormon, whereas maybe they wouldn't have if it wasn't for this challenge. All right. So I got wind of this story from Christian Blake and also Grant Polsander, and then also my wife, who just before. What? Oh, Jenica just said that she got it from Joni, the Joyous Genealogist. I didn't know that. Joni must have texted us today. Okay, so yeah, so that's what's going on. First, let's read what the church put out. Okay, church news. Oh no, this is under Deseret News. Okay, sorry. I think I said church newsroom before. Anyway, Temple Square renovation update. Salt Lake Temple's estimated completion date amended to 2026. Unexpected challenges. Setbacks move anticipated completion from previously announced 2025 date. Okay, here's a picture. A concrete slab is laid around the perimeter of the temple to create a clean and level working surface during the multi-layer renovation of the temple in Salt Lake City, Utah, March 2023. And I must say, I don't know. There's just something about this picture that just it looks just like wild to me. Like that, it's just laying all this just so that there's like a level work surface, and it makes sense, obviously. But it's crazy the amount of work that's going into preserving this building, this temple. You know, they're really serious about preserving it, making sure that nothing happens to it. If the church is willing to put this much effort and money into this, then it must be pretty important, right? There's some people that would probably complain that tithing shouldn't be used for this. It should be all for the poor. Like all tithing should be for giving out food and money and things to other people. Well, the gospel is more than just that. That is pure religion, is taking care of the widows, the needy. Um, but it's also about worshiping God, and it's about saving the souls of men, right, and women. So and this is important. This building, this temple is it's iconic. Um, any member of the church, if they're gonna, if you asked any member of the church to like in like 5 seconds list a temple, you know, if it was like a game show, list as many temples as you can. I'm pretty sure that more than 90% of participants would probably name the Salt Lake Temple, most likely. Maybe that's a fun thing that you can try at home, and then let me know. Let me know what your spouses and family members and friends like. Do that and see if they say the Salt Lake Temple, then put it in the comments. Um, so anyway, okay. Excuse me. This is short. Um, March 2023 updates to the Salt Lake Temple's multi-year seismic renovation efforts and the overall Temple Square renovation project include an amended completion date of 2026 for the temple. Quote, construction on the renovation and seismic retrofit of the iconic Salt Lake Temple continues at a deliberate and measured pace. End quote. Says a news release posted Thursday, March 23rd on churchofjesuschrist.org. Continuing. However, when working with historic structures such as this pioneer era temple, unexpected challenges and setbacks are inevitable. And I pulled up, a few other articles to see if I could find out any other information. We have this one from KUTV, and they noted right here that the church did not specify which challenges it was facing. And this is the thing that I wanted to consider in this video, is these like unknown, unspecified challenges. Uh, and I would love to hear your thoughts below, what you think those are, or if you know what those are. Maybe you work on this. If you're allowed to say, then and then put it in the comments below. We'll get back to that in just a second. A 2025 completion date had been previously announced for the iconic Salt Lake Temple. In consulting with the project's numerous architects, engineers, and contractors, church leaders believe more time is needed on the upgrade and renovations to the temple. Uh, Obviously, based on these professionals' recommendations, I'm sure. A final informal completion date and temple open house schedule will be determined and shared when feasible. The construction milestones for the temple and the Temple Square project will be shared periodically. One such recent milestone came on March 7th. That's an interesting date. This is now another significant thing that's happened on the 7th of a month. In February, on the 7th, that was when the new temple changes were introduced. So now we have March 7th, a month later, with a milestone that was hit. It has to do with the temple's seismic upgrade. As crews poured concrete for the footing of the first base isolator underneath the temple, the step is preparatory for the base isolation system, with the installation of the first base isolator anticipated in April. Okay, so let's do a recap on what we've already kind of talked about. A lot of people feel that the second coming won't happen, or, at least the great earthquake that's going to shake the whole earth, that it's not going to happen until after the Salt Lake Temple is ready. And, that's logical. It's sound reasoning. We've made the counterpoint. Well, maybe this is a test. Maybe intentionally the Lord will have that happen, and the second coming will happen before that time, because this probably gives some people a sense of false security. Especially members of the church that, maybe they're active, but they're just asleep. They go to church, their minds are on practical things, worldly things, they're distracted. They see this, they check the Deseret News and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, no, we're not even close, because all this is going on with the Salt Lake Temple. The Lord's not going to come. Because, for one, there's the protecting it against an earthquake. So there's that factor where you might be like, well, that portion at least has to be done before the earthquake can happen. But secondly, that the temple itself, the entire thing needs to be done, because it would seem that maybe the purpose of doing this is to prepare the temple for when Christ comes. You know, we read from, I already forgot, I'm pretty sure it was Wilford Woodruff who was quoting Joseph Smith. And Joseph Smith had said that when Christ comes, um, for the second coming, and when I mean the second coming, I'm pretty sure he was referring to Christ's visit to the saints, to New Jerusalem, that he would come to the saints while they're in the Rocky Mountains. And I think that means as the church is still headquartered in Salt Lake City. So if what he is referring to is Christ's visit to New Jerusalem before he goes to the Jews, before he goes, or he comes openly to the entire world, then you might think that they would want to have all of Temple Square, but especially the temple, refreshed, new, upgraded for that appearance. And that could be what we're seeing right here. That might be the purpose of this. But at the same time, again, maybe this is a test. And it's not really going to be ready by the time he comes. He's going to come earlier. He'll cut his work short. Those that are not watching the signs of the times, it's going to be like a thief in the night. Right? And this would be a perfect setup for that. Because when it comes down to it, it's not about money. Right? Christ and Heavenly Father and Christ, they're concerned with our souls and our preparedness and this process that we're going through right now, this mortal experience. If he wanted to, he could make money appear and then supersize the temple, and make the entire Salt Lake Valley a temple, do whatever he wants. So anyway, there's a lot of things to think about with that. We're only going to really know how things happen as we move forward in time and see what actually happens. Okay. Now, the other thing, and the newer thing that came to my mind is, these unspecified challenges. What are they? And could it have to do with Satan and the power that he has in this world? We know that he has power in this world. He does. There's a lot to suggest that he has actual, literal power in this world. One of the first kind of like evidences of that is actually in Doctrine and Covenants, where it tells you how to discern between an actual angel sent from God or an evil spirit that's posing as an angel from God, and how you can test them by offering to shake their hand. In fact, I didn't think about that till just now. Let's see. Doctrine and Covenants. Discern spirit, shake hands. Hopefully something will pull. Okay, right here. Doctrine and Covenants 129. Let's just read it. Okay, instructions given by Joseph Smith the prophet at Nauvoo, Illinois, February 9th, 1843, making known 3 grand keys by which the correct nature of ministering angels and spirits may be distinguished. Chapter heading, there are both resurrected and spirit bodies in heaven. Keys are given whereby messengers from beyond the veil may be identified. Okay, there are 2 kinds of beings in heaven, namely angels, who are resurrected personages having bodies of flesh and bones. For instance, Jesus said, "Handle me and see, for a spirit hath not flesh and bones as ye see me have." Secondly, the spirits of just men, made perfect, they who are not resurrected, but inherit the same glory. When a messenger comes saying he has a message from God, offer him your hand and request him to shake hands with you. If he be an angel, he will do so, and you will feel his hand. If he be the spirit of a just man, made perfect, he will come in glory, for that is the only way he can appear. Ask him to shake hands with you, but he will not move, because it is contrary to the order of heaven for a just man to deceive, but he will still deliver his message. Now, this is the key right here. Look, the devil, as an angel of light, when you ask him to shake hands, he will offer you his hand, and you will not feel anything. You may therefore detect him. These are the three grand keys whereby you may know whether any administration is from God. And when I first read this, it must have been when I was like a young teenager, like an early teen. Um, this like really stood out to me just because of like, I guess, the kind of the supernatural nature of this. Imagining having that experience happen to you, and some time went by. I don't know, a year or two, something like that, and then thinking back and like trying to remember. Oh wait, what happens if somebody appears? What is it? What am I supposed to do? And how do I? Because getting it all like jumbled in my mind. Um, so you know, this is interesting because this is a section of the Doctrine and Covenants. And this means that the devil actually does appear to people as an angel of light. And unless you know what to do, whether to shake hands, to offer the shaking of hands, you could be deceived. And I don't think that the devil would just try to appear to members of the church, but other people in the world, people with power. Um, Maybe sometimes good people, maybe sometimes bad people. You know, whatever his strategy is, he does his business. Um, but I guarantee you that there have been people that have had actual, literal uh, contact with him, in the sense that they were in his presence and got tricked because he appeared as an angel of light. So, okay, so thinking back to the Salt Lake Temple, right? Satan, you can infer from that passage that he does have actual power in this world. Let's look at one other thing. You might remember that recently we went over this story about the Logan Temple, the Logan Temple president. Okay, and I'm just going to read this first little part here. Okay, Logan Temple president Mariner W. Merrill was sitting in his office one morning in the early 1890s when he heard a commotion outside. Stepping to the window, he saw a great congregation of people coming up to the temple, some on foot and others on horseback. Now, let me explain why I highlighted these, because spoiler alert, if you haven't already seen this, so maybe stop the video. I'll have the link for this in the description below if you want to read this beforehand, and if you didn't see my other video. Okay, spoiler alert. So it turns out that who he's seeing is Satan. Satan said, okay, so the temple president says, "Who are you, and who are these people who have taken possession of the temple grounds unannounced?" And the answer to the leader was, "I am from the leader. I am Satan, and these are my people." Okay, and so you find out that this group is Satan and his followers, but you don't learn a whole lot more, except for this at the very beginning, that some of them were on foot, other ones were on horseback, and in carriages, right? The riders tied up their horses at the hitching post and turned them loose on the temple corrals. And then they were dressed quite shabbily. So, first of all, this whole story could be a fabrication for all I know. I haven't gone down to the very root sources, and even if you did, if you like talk to this temple president, and I'm not trying to put any shame or imply anything about President Merrill, but people sometimes they make things up. Okay, we have wheat and tares in the church. The wheat tell the truth. The tares are prone to lying, creating hoaxes just to get attention. You know, that's one reason why, like the two reasons I can think of why someone would fabricate a story is either they have mental illness, which they can't help, other than maybe taking medications if you're on medications. So that's one thing. Or if you're simply just a toxic person and that's how you live your life, you tell lies and you make up things because you want to get that attention. You want people to come to you and be like, hey, will you tell me that story? Because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel important. So, with that in mind, if this is an actual story and it's true, then there's some pretty important details in this story, I think. Now, you have Satan there. It didn't say whether Satan was riding on a horse. But some of his people were riding on horses, and they also had carriages, right? And they tied their horses to the hitching posts. So this means one of two things: either there were people there with Satan that were there in the flesh, in mortality, and they had actual living horses and actual carriages. So it was like a mixed company of like evil spirits and mortals all kind of mingled together in a group. Or, you know, Satan does have horses. There's like spirit horses. Or he has a spiritual horses. I guess it's like that song, the Ghost Riders in the Sky lyrics. Okay, and what is the lesson that we learned from that? Okay, this is by Johnny Cash, one of my favorites. Everybody loves Johnny Cash. Okay, an old cowboy went riding out one dark and windy day. Upon a ridge, he rested as he went along his way. Maybe Johnny Cash was inspired by this story. Maybe he heard the Logan temple president's story about Satan and his horses. When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw plowing the ragged skies and up the cloudy draw. Their brands were still on fire. Oh, I didn't know it said that. Their brands. Like how, cattle and stuff are branded. Still on fire. Yeah, that sounds like something Satan would do. And their hooves were made of steel. Their horns were black and shiny, and their hot breath he could feel. A bolt of fear went through him as they thundered through the sky, for he saw the riders coming hard, and he heard their mournful cry, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yay, Ghost Riders in the sky. So, but my favorite part down here, I always thought that this was funny. Then cowboy, change your ways today. Then cowboy, change your ways today, or with us you will ride, trying to catch the devil's herd across these endless skies. I made a joke one time when I was in the army. We were doing a change of command inventory, and we got to the tents, because you have to pull out the tents. They're in these like big unwieldy bags, and it takes 4 to 5 people to lay just like one of those bags out. And then you have the poles and the stakes, and those are in big bags, and it's just awful, especially when it's in the summertime. And we were talking about how that's how that situation, like, it felt like hell. And I made the joke like, yeah, well, what if that's what it's like, if you end up going to hell, then it's just never ending inventories of Satan's tents. um okay, so anyway, okay, let's get with it. Okay, so the point here is this could be evidence where Satan was mingling with mortals and had some kind of organization, a group, a following, whatever. And so if that's the case, okay, from what we learn from section 129 of the Doctrine and Covenants, and then this story about the Logan temple president, then could it be, circling all the way back around, could it be that Satan is organizing attacks or, um, constructing obstacles to this project. Because if he knows, and maybe he doesn't know, who knows what he knows, but if he knows or he thinks that this is part of the second coming, that Christ is going to come to the Salt Lake Temple, I mean, wouldn't you, if you were him, wouldn't you like focus your efforts on things to push back the second coming? Like, no, I need more time. Things are getting good. I need more time. And so you go after the things that you think will hold things back. We just had what happened in 2020 and how that brought missionary work almost to a standstill. It closed the temples. That was a big win for Satan. And who knows how much involvement he had in that. I'm sure that he did. I think when it's all said and done, everything that's gone wrong or gone against the church was probably his direct doing, working through his people that follow him. And so it just kind of makes sense. It makes sense to me. Um, if it's something that's bad for the church, then there's probably a good chance that Satan was behind that. There's so many other anecdotes and stories and different things that suggest that he puts a pretty decent amount of effort into stopping the Lord's work. So why not the Salt Lake Temple? Even if it's something where you could be like, oh, well, like prices are high for they can't get these parts shipped in. They're waiting on this or waiting on that, or oh, there's some whatever thing that came up. Like, why couldn't Satan be behind whatever that thing is? It's unclear, like how powerful he is, what his knowledge is of economics. um, he has introduced secret combinations, and secret combinations are a great way to gain wealth and influence and power and control and commit all sorts of abominations. He knows how to do that, and uh, he doesn't have the veil over his mind. So I don't know how much knowledge he had, or how much we knew in the preexist in the preexistence, how much knowledge we had, how learned we were. But if we were, then he I would assume he still has all that knowledge. Um, in fact, some people have kind of tied the Prometheus figure to Satan. That you have this story where you have a god that had knowledge that was not supposed to be given to mankind, and so he gives it to him. In the way that the Greek myth plays out is that, oh, Prometheus was actually a good guy, which is really devious because you could equate him to Satan. There's a lot of parallels between those ancient religions and Judaism, Christianity. And people will say, well, yeah, because Christianity is just the newest version of those old myths. And no, I don't. I think it's the other way around. I think that those myths are based on, somewhat based on reality, but in reverse and perverted. In this case, making Prometheus seem like he's actually a good guy. But there's people that have talked about, could he have introduced different technology, different techniques, different things for his own goals? Like, hey, I'll give you this if you do this for me. I'll teach you how to do this. I think we're going to be surprised. I think we're going to be surprised when it's all said and done. Whether we find out during the millennium, where it's said that all things are going to be revealed. We're going to know all the things that have been going on in this world, both the things that God has been doing, but I think, if I remember right, everything that the adversary has been doing. And we may be in for a shock, just how involved he was with different things that we thought were safe, different things that we thought were wholesome, because he's a trickster. He mixes truth and lies. You just look at movies. Look at movies, look at TV shows. It sucks because There's so many good movies and TV shows out there, but you always have this mix of something bad in it. And you can tell that it's intentional, and who inspires that? Well, Satan. Satan. So, okay, so looking at the Salt Lake Temple, is this another effort to try and stop the second coming? Or I'm sure he knows that he can't stop it, but maybe he thinks that he can delay it, right? Maybe he found a way where he has delayed this. But like I said, for all I know, like let's play out this scenario. Okay, either this whole thing could have gone according to plan and it would have been done in 2024 and that's it, and that's how things would have gone. Or Satan comes in, he focuses his efforts on the Salt Lake Temple, thinking that that will delay things. And so maybe at the moment right now, he's like, see, it was supposed to be in 2024 because of the eclipse. Aha. But Christ, he may be like, okay, fine, I'll let you have this supposed victory. Go ahead. Go ahead, delay the temple. Guess what? I'm coming to it anyway, whether it's finished or not. And I'm going to, maybe I'll miraculously preserve it from the earthquake. They were doing the right thing. The church and the church leaders, they were doing the right thing. They were trying to prepare, okay, in an appropriate manner. They did what they could. Tithing money was spent to try and get the temple ready. You stopped it. That's fine. I'm going to miraculously preserve the Salt Lake Temple. And it's going to be better than ever before. How about that? So, a lot of stuff to think about. But it's an interesting development. And for excuse me, for all anyone knows, maybe some of you guys are right. Those of you that think that it's not going to happen until the 2030s, in that decade or later. So, whatever. But this is just some stuff to think about for now. I'm still very jealous of the people that live in these apartments right here. These people have some of the best condos in the world. Right here, this building, there's one right here, where they have these awesome corner windows right here. And I've seen the shades pulled back, or the curtains pulled back, and it's like, I think there's like an entire dining room / living room in this area. So could you imagine, especially at nighttime, could you imagine just opening your curtains to your living room and dining room, and you have a full on view of the Salt Lake Temple? Lucky ducks. That's all I got to say about that. All right, well, that's going to be it for this one. Make sure to share the Book of Mormon. All you have to do is just put your finger on share now. That's all you have to do. So please do it. And then let me know. Make these numbers go up. Encourage others to do the same. All right. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it. And I'll talk to you guys later.